Well, John, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. This tree here at John Wayne Park has been a pretty special place for my family in the short time we've been here. As you look at it and its roots, like the guy who planted it, there's no way he could have guessed how much use and what it would have done, the shade, the view, what it's done for my family, and sounds like for yours too. And that's kind of the way things are, right? The roots, you have no idea what the fruit's going to be from that.
Absolutely.
And so we're so glad as we kind of enter into the 75th year anniversary of St. Andrews to have you speak a little bit about the past. How long have you been the pastor, or were you the pastor at St. Andrews?
I was here almost 32 years.
Okay.
And I've been in the community 45 in the same house.
45 years. So out of St. Andrews 75, you've been in it for 45 of those years. You've seen a lot. Now, I heard a story that one time you had the opportunity to move the church out of its location on St. Andrews over to somewhere else. Why did you not?
We had an option on the Castaways Point, 13 acres, which would have been a magnificent point. And we went to pay what we were to pay each month on the option. And the president of the company said, look, don't worry about it. We'll trust you. And then he called me into his office one day and he said, John, I'm embarrassed. We're withdrawing the offer to sell.
Wow.
But then about 6 months later, and he comes across the park and he said, John, he said, you can have the Castaways. And I said, but we prayed the doxology. I told you, we had said, whether we got it or not, we're going to sing the doxology. We moved on. It was clearly of the Lord. And I now realize on that point, positioned beautifully on the coast highway, highly visible.
Yeah.
But we basically remained a community church, but what we did was expand into an international vision.
I love that. In fact, it sounds like God has, and I always believe he has a DNA. When a church is birthed by the Holy Spirit, there is a DNA, just like a child, that it's meant to be, and it's stayed true to that over the years. In fact, I was going to show you this. We found this. This is a St. Andrews Tomorrow mission study you guys did.
I haven't seen it till today. All these years.
This is back from the late 80s, and at the time, you were leading with the session the church into what's the future look like. And in this is a study of the whole area and then what are you going to do about it. And there's some just remarkable things in here. It says that the church, St. Andrews, needs to reach and represent our local area better. Median age in the survey was 53. Median age of the community is 35. And so you guys started in earnest trying to reach that group of people. Another thing it said is that we want an extended and expanded emphasis in local mission. And I'm thinking about, man, God has kept us here for a reason. He brought, even though we're a neighborhood church, and you maintained that, he brought the neighborhood so much expansion that now its reach is more than we could have imagined. And so as I'm thinking about, we're facing some of the same issues today. What was it like when you guys went to the congregation and said, hey, we are going to reach our neighborhood for Christ. We're going to set people, equip and empower them to live on mission, and we're going to make a difference. What did that do in the community?
Well, first of all, we had to establish what that was. Came here and realized this is more relational, inspirational preaching, and they needed doctrine. So the first year I preached expositionally through the book of Romans, and about 500 people left the church.
Wow.
They didn't want all this Jesus talk and all this doctrine, but about 1,000 came in to replace them, and then the Lord shaped things. But then the issue was, do we have the facility that will work? And
Right.
John Miller was very honest to say we had tried a few years before to have a building program, and it didn't work. The money was not there. Well, a task force for about many months worked on, should we have a building program? And they concluded to the congregation, if we are content to be where we are, we don't need one. If we are in a mode to grow, we must have one. The day before, someone called the church, said she needed to see me that afternoon. So she came down and said, John, I didn't realize I'd just gone through a divorce. She said, my settlement is $10 million. I'm stunned. And the Lord has told me to tithe that to the building program. And the Lord just, the vote came through, and that they voted to go into the growth mode.
Wow.
And with that came the mission statement.
Yeah. And that changed everything.
That really changed everything, see.
And I hear another thing in that you had to call people to unity around where God was taking you. That can't be easy.
No.
Especially when you're saying things that got to change a little, but you did it because now we have those 35-year-olds you were going to reach. They're now our Legacy Foundation folks, right? So what was that like whenever you had to call it to them?
This is the big theme. Together we can do what we couldn't possibly do separately.
I love that.
And then we came up with the mission statement, which was to lead men and women to personal saving faith in Jesus Christ, help them grow in their faith, and be deployed in servant ministry to others. And then after this was done, we have the phrase, a worshiping community committed to.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about roots, and that was a story of roots that you just gave, and now we're ready to see some new fruit. Can I just ask you, what do you dream about for the church as we go forward?
And I don't want to dream for the church anything that the new leadership dreams for the church. So I don't spend a lot of time dreaming for the church. What I spend my time is rejoicing and watching God work in the life of the church, even if it's toughest days since I left or when I was here. And so my prayer is that God will continue to bless and use St. Andrews, and that you and the future leadership are able to assess the community and not try to be what you were never meant to be.
Dr. John Huffman, this beautiful community that we can see across here has a lot to say thank you for the years that you led St. Andrews to be an impact.
The Lord is blessed, and Ann and I love St. Andrews. We love you and Jessica.
Thank you.
And we love the staff you have and the people of the church.
Thanks for your legacy and your friendship.
Thank you for the privilege. Love you, brother.
Thanks.
Blessing.